Hey, this is Al Pitrelli from Savatage, and we're coming back. You're with us right now on LINEA ROCK.
Hi, Al. Welcome to LINEA ROCK.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Great to have you. And we are very much excited as many fans because Savatage reunion is such electrifying news, I must say. And expectations are really, really high. Is this giving to the band some extra motivation and or performance anxiety? Since, you've always been such a great band and you built a reputation of musical excellence indeed since the beginning.
Well, I wouldn't call it musical anxiety. I think that individually we've all gotten better as musicians and as people. I think collectively we've still been working together, albeit not with Sabotage, but our work in America with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra has made us a better ensemble. So we all know that we haven't been there in many, many years. We want to come out and absolutely crush it. You know, we owe it to your community and all the other communities in Europe and worldwide, but also to ourselves. We want to know that we went out there and we're better than we were 27, 28 years ago. It's been a long time, and we want to make sure that we come back and everybody just looks at us and goes, wow, they're better. And that's what we're going to strive for. We're all working individually very hard right now, and we start rehearsals in another week or so. We know that we're going to kind of tear all the songs apart, put them back together the way that you guys deserve them to be played and performed. And the best part about it is I'm so proud of the legacy, John Oliva and Paul O'Neill's work, that we're going to present that yet again. And here we are all these decades later. And the fact that you guys are excited for us to come back and we're excited to come back, it's going to be just one of the greatest evenings ever. I can't wait.
And as announced, John Oliva won't be part, of the official touring band. Any chance or plan he will be joining you in selected appearances, maybe for a couple of songs, just like, Judas Priest did with Glenn Tipton? Is there any possibility that it happens?
I don't think so, me personally, but that doesn't mean it will or it won't. I know that right now, I would love to see the Mountain King on stage with us, as would everybody. If it doesn't happen this time, we're hoping that it's going to happen the next time throughout. So I don't really have an answer for you other than we would all love that to occur. And John Oliva wants to, be back on stage, and lead the charge. When that's going to happen, I can't say yet. I'm sorry.
Okay. And so you joined Savatage in 1995. So 2025 marks your personal 30th anniversary in the band. Zach joined pretty much in the same era. And of course, as usual, beside the excitement, some people are complaining about the fact that this is not the original band, that without John and Chris, it's not the same. What's your answer to that? And how can you get them by your side for the tour? And is it a challenge in a sense, the fact, that some people are complaining about this?
Listen, there's people who are going to complain, and I understand their complaint. I get it. The two original members, John and Chris, well, John is not healthy enough to do this year. And like, again, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure he can come back because I want the Mountain King to come out and be amazing, not just be there for the sake of being there. And he doesn't want to be there unless he can do a spectacular job. Now, Chris Oliva passed away 35 years ago, so that's what I have no control over that. I know that if you enjoyed the Dead Winter Dead and the Wake of Magellan tours that we had done, and everybody seemed to have, albeit John Oliva was with us, excuse me, then come out and see for yourself. Don't live in disappointment now. Come out and see it. And if you hate it, then I'll buy the ticket back from you. I don't know what to tell you. There's always going to be people who are purists, and I respect that. And I understand that completely. We're going to present and articulate this music out in an outstanding manner, and I hope everybody enjoys it. And for the people who like, just give us a chance, no pun intended. Let us show you what we're working towards, and we can carry on the tradition. Again, it's I think the songs will supersede everything else. When Zach digs in and starts singing all Zach songs, everybody's going to just go, "Wow, that's amazing!" And we will represent the Mountain King songs the best that we can. We know we're going up against some haters. That's okay.
Okay.
But I'm more concerned. I'm going to spend more time thinking about the positive side of it and all the people that are just so excited to come see us. And if in the audience there's a couple people with their arms folded, because uh, we're going to work real hard to convert you guys over. Give us a shot. Give us a shot. We'll see what happens.
Savatage has been special for a lot of people, but why is it so special for you, Al, to be part of this band?
Well, like you had just said, I got involved 30 years ago, I think, this February. So it'll be 30 years next month. And I had no idea what was to occur after that one meeting with Paul O'Neill and John Oliva. I sat in the chair, I had my guitar, and they started playing me some of the music from Dead Winter Dead. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I love this music. I love this approach. And we had just a great time making music. Little did I know that you and I would be having this conversation 30 years later. The music has carried on. The legacy of John and Paul carries on. And it's given me an incredible career. I've enjoyed working with those men. I've enjoyed writing with them, collaborating. We've had a lot of fun. Obviously, the successes of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra is due to the Dead Winter Dead record because of the song Christmas Eve Sarajevo. And that, led to just wonderful success here in America. Now it's time for Savatage to enjoy its success in Europe, and we'll be in South America and Europe this year, and hopefully, for many, many years to come. And let's celebrate their work together. Is it going to be exactly the same as was before I was in the band, or, when John and Chris were leading the charge with Johnny Lee and Dave? I don't know. I don't know. But it's going to be great. Musically, it will be great.
Yeah. So in 2015, there was Wacken. Then in 2021, the reissue of Savatage back catalog kept the legend alive pretty
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But how did, the reunion actually happen? Which was the real spark? And did you all keep in touch through over the years? And why this is, uh, the best moment to do it, the real moment to do it?
This is the time. I don't know. Um, I think the spark started at the Wacken reunion. And in my opinion, Paul O'Neill wanted Savatage to have its final bow, right? So, Savatage and TSO co-headlined on both stages in Wacken. And we were just like, you know what? Let's ride off into the sunset, if you will, and have a great show and just say thank you to all the people who came to that show, 80,000 in that field that night. Now, little did we know that the next day the reaction was so good that Paul said, we really got to put this back together. This band is too important. The music's too important. And the love from the communities throughout Europe and the rest of the world, they love this music. They love this band. Now, that was in 2015. Paul passed away not too long after that. So, needless to say, any thoughts or conversations or dreams of continuing Saba working kind of got shot. That was it. There was no talk of anything other than, oh my God, we lost our best friend. You know, I think, and there's always been talk about it. There's always been, conversations like all of us, we're like a bunch of brothers. We talk about it all the time, how much we would love to do it. If it happens, great. If not, we had Wacken, and that was a good way to say goodnight. And last year, the band's managers, Kenny Kaplan and Adam Lind, said, there's a lot of requests for Sabbath to go back out. And individually, we all said, excuse me, absolutely, count me in. I don't care if we don't make any money. Let's just go. And when we found out how much of a want there is for it, we all said, let's put this together, however we can do it. Now, did the stars line up? I don't have that answer for you. I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to show the world, hey, this is just a great rock and roll band with great material, and we're going to have so much fun together. People in the audience and the people on the stage. This is a community that's going to celebrate a wonderful body of work from Paul and John.
Plus,
And
we have just one
that's the
life,
most
so
important
why
thing.
not taking chances?
Well, yeah, and going back, like you said, there's some people who are like, oh, it's not going to be the same. Okay, the short answer is sorry, can't do nothing about it. Okay. What we are going to do is give you however many songs we're going to play that night, 25, 30 songs, the entirety of the catalog, from the beginning until where we left off. Some surprises, some different things. We will pay our tributes to Chris and John, in a way that we think is appropriate. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it as well. And I'm just going to concentrate on making it the best presentation ever.
So, as you said, the set list is pretty much defined and compiled, and there will be some surprises, and rehearsals are starting pretty soon, in a week, you
Mhm.
said. Um,
Yeah.
so, any chances work in progress, change your mind on some songs? Do you have
Uh-huh.
any really, really special surprise? Maybe you can announce just one. Give it to me.
Nah, I'm going to make it a surprise. And I don't have a defined, I don't have a defined set list yet because, like you just said, when we all get into a room, maybe this song, yeah, it's not working the way we want. Oh, let's try that one. So ask me the same question in a month or two, and maybe I'll be able to tip the hand a little bit.
Okay, I will. um, so, Al, which is your favorite Savatage album and why?
Ooh. Uh, that's like asking me what my favorite child is. You know, I got five of them. Depends on what day it is. You know,
Okay.
sometimes this one's my favorite, sometimes not so much. You know what? I wouldn't be able to give you a specific answer other than I listened to Sabotage long before I joined the band, and I thought, God rest his soul, Chris Oliva was incredible. I love John's writing. I loved his singing. Um, I don't know. There's so many. If you asked me to pick one, I would have to say "This Is the Time" because that's the first song I recorded with John and Paul. And I remember like that riff starting and that such a beautiful chorus. And I said, press record, and I hit that first note of the solo, and Paul and John looked at me like, yeah, we're gonna be okay, you know. So personally, that would be like the at least the moment, not necessarily the record, but the moment where I fell in love with what we were doing.
Okay. And are you working on some new music as Savatage? Any plans or ideas to have a possible new album?
Um, Listen, John Oliva and Paul O'Neill were constantly writing together, constantly up until Paul's passing. So there's a lot of unfinished material or demo material that's kind of sitting around. I know that some of the other guys in the band have gotten with Oliva and we're kicking the tires, if you will, on some new material. I couldn't give you an answer as to any recording coming out in the near future, only because we're so concentrated on making this world tour so amazing. I would prefer not to confuse anything right now. I just want to focus on what we have to do, and let's get through this together and see what happens. Everybody would love to put a new record out, a new material out, but this is not the time. This is the time to like come out and just show the world like this band is better than it was 3 decades ago.
About guitar parts, how do you fit in with Chris Cafferty in the studio and live? Is it a natural combination and approach of you both, or is there like a fixed pattern over, who does what? And another part of the question, did Chris's immortality cast a long shadow over you guys as
Excellent.
guitarists, of
Okay,
course?
outstanding question. So, when it comes to recording, it's kind of just a natural evolution of, Chris is so good at what Chris does, and I do what I do. So, like, when Paul was producing the records, he'd be like, let's let Caffery just shred over this part. It's such a, it's so obvious that he needs to play a solo here or a rhythm part here. And then there were other songs where Paul would be like, you know what, let's let you look at this one and see what happens. So the recording process was pretty simple. It was so obvious on what I would do and what Chris would do. and two different styles of guitar player, like individually, we're both pretty good. Collectively, stupid good. You know what I mean? Now, as far as the casting the shadow part, Chris was in Savatage with Chris Oliva, you know, and it Chris prides himself on executing all Chris Oliva's solos exactly how they were on the record. And they were friends, they had a brotherhood. And I just said, you know what, dude, that's all on you, you know. And he takes it really serious. I spoke to him a couple of days ago. He's like, practicing, practicing all the solos because he wants to go out there and represent his brother in the best possible way that he can. And Chris Caffery does a great job at it. All right. And then when you talk about from Dead Winter Dead on, well, I play the stuff that I recorded and he plays the stuff that he recorded. And we have fun.
Okay.
So, and the solos, listen, solos are very, very important. But to me, the more important thing is the ensemble, the sound of the band, the rhythm section. Because the people in the audience are going to go, oh, great guitar solo, fine. But most people are going to just be going like this, you know? And if we're doing our jobs the correct way, it's going to be overwhelmingly amazing.
The solid base.
Yeah, the foundation's everything. Listen, I'm a whole lot older than the last time I came through Saba in Milan, you know? And not that anything's changed. I mean, I work really hard keeping my chops up and being able to play, but I've learned that serving the song and giving the audience what they want is much more important than me showing off. We all got our moments to show off and do our thing. We're still guitar players, whatever. But making that the people in the audience just go, oh my gosh, this is absolutely crushing. That comes first for me.
Yeah, and John Oliva is, of course, a fantastic composer, arranger, but he is also a multi-instrumentalist, which
Yeah.
are, the pros and cons about this, since he has always been one of the leaders of the band. And did the Italian connection, Oliva Pitrelli, help,
Yeah.
to connect with him? Because you're both of Sicilian origins, if I'm correct.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we became brothers and fell in love in about 8 seconds. Because not only, yeah, we're both Italians, we both have a love for the same generation of music. We're a little bit older than the other guys in the band. So we just had this musical connection, this brotherly connection. Um, we just got on great. We could finish each other's sentences, and we had a terrific time doing it. And I have been a student of music my whole life. I studied. I understand the theories, the mathematics behind it. I just love everything about it. John Oliva does not know what key he's in sometimes. He doesn't know what scale. I've never met anybody so brilliant in my life because he'll sit down in a second and write a song that would take, I couldn't ever do it. He's like of a different level of talent, vocally, piano wise, guitar wise, composition wise, lyrically, that he doesn't approach it. He just sits down and this comes out of him. And that's what I've always found fascinating about him. I have such respect for Oliva. And O'Neill was the same way. Paul wasn't necessarily a proficient instrumentalist, but things would come out of that man's mind, musically, lyrically, story-wise, poetically, that I go, how did you even think of that? Well, that's why these guys are who they are. So I'm honored just to try to help carry on the legacy of who they are and what they are. And yeah, Oliva could sit down at a piano and bring an audience to tears. He could play a guitar riff. He could sing a ballad and you could hear a pin drop in an arena. That's a very special talent. And I'm just grateful that he's my friend and my brother. And I want to make him proud when we go out there.
And how do you prepare for a tour? I mean, spirit, mindset, physical exercise, a combination of all?
Well, yeah, but I do it. I don't ever unprepare, you know. I'm always, keeping my mind healthy, my body healthy. I always stay in shape. I exercise no matter whether I'm touring, whether I'm staying home. Listen, I have two young daughters, 9 years old and 13 years old. That will keep you young and keep you moving, you know. Whew. By the way, my wife and my daughters are going to come to, I think it was the last show in Greece, and then we're going to have our summer vacation in Italy.
Oh,
The
wow.
girls, yeah, the girls want to spend, a couple weeks, exploring. I've only been to Milan. I've never ventured further into Italy. And my wife Nicole, and she's Italian as well, Sanducci, and they just want to like spend a couple weeks exploring, our heritage and your beautiful country. So we're very much looking forward to that as well.
Okay. And how many guitars do you own, and how many do you take on the road usually? And which is the absolute favorite one that you cannot miss?
Um, I have a lot of guitars that I've purchased over the years. I don't have any endorsements because I think that the company should, excuse me, give free guitars to children, not people who could afford them. But another conversation for another day. Um, by Les Paul, I have two guitars that are very, very important. Well, all of them are important, but I have a Les Paul that I've had for 50 years that my father bought for me when I was, I don't know, whatever, 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And that was the guitar I recorded every Savatage and Trans-Siberian Orchestra record with. That was Paul O'Neill's favorite guitar that I owned. And so that's a very special one. And the other one is a Black Les Paul that I've had, I don't know, what 30 years now, that I tour with that one because I know I know exactly what it's going to sound like. I know how it's going to feel. No matter what, it's going to work out. And then I take out a couple more. It all depends. I mean, how many will I bring to Europe? Not as many as a TSO show, because there's not as much difference, Um, I don't know, eight, nine, 10, five.
Well,
And my
depends.
daughters, yeah, my daughters get to pick out. If I take my one Black Les Paul, my daughters pick out the other four or five.
Okay.
Daddy, that one's pretty. I'm like, okay.
Okay, so do you remember the feeling of the very first time you picked up a guitar? Was it love at first sight for you? Like a kind of, instant connection to what actually became your artistic path and your whole life?
Uh, yeah, I was 2 years old, and I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, 1964. Now, I don't really have any recollection of that, but my mom will tell you the story. And somebody took a picture of me in my feety pajamas at 2 years old, strumming like my granddaddy's guitar because I wanted to be like John Lennon or Paul McCartney or George Harrison or Ringo. And it just grabbed me by the inner portion of my soul that never let go. And my parents, when I was little, I started taking guitar lessons at like 5 and you're strumming this and strumming that. And they thought, oh, this is so cute. This is so cute. Until I became a teenager. And they were like, uh-oh, he's not stopping. So we were like, for quite a while. But I fell in love with it. Music, this is the way that I look at music. It's a very interesting relationship that I have with it because I'm not as good at music as I want to be yet. Every day I practice, every day I learn more. But music has let me have a relationship with it and has been so good to me. So I try to honor this art form by always trying to get better, by exploring new things, by just on my guitar or on the piano or vocally or as an arranger or as a composer. I want to get better every day to show my respect to this thing that has taken such good care of me for all my life. And the joy that I experience every time I play something, it just I love doing this. I love doing it at 62 years old as much as I loved doing it 60 years ago, you know. And I just want to get better every day because when I listened Rest His Soul, it's one of the last things Jeff Beck ever recorded. I'm like, how does he get better every time? I want to do that. I'll never be as good as him, but I'm going to try to get better every day.
At Berkeley, you and Derek Sherinian have been roommates, if I'm correct.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
did you have big dreams since those days, since the beginning, or the trick is to keep your feet on the ground and work hard? And another part of the question, being a well-educated musician, know what you're doing, the theory, technical skills, back then made a difference in a different way compared to now, especially in rock music, talking about competition, the fact that there was no internet, the be at the right place at the right
Hmm.
time factor, that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So Derek and yeah, we met at Berkeley, and I think we only lasted 2 semesters because we had dreams of conquering the world, you know. But you have to go into whatever it is that you do, in my opinion. And as a father, as an educator, you kind of have to go into your life with no safety net. It's kind of, for me, it was do or die. I would rather be broke, living in a box, than not playing the guitar. Didn't care. Because you can't do something motivated by money. It ain't enough. Nobody says, "Oh, I want." When I played the guitar, I don't know, as a teenager, you don't think about, possessions and fancy cars and houses and all that crap. You think about, look, dude, I'm getting good. You have to love it to dedicate your life to something with no guarantee that you're going to succeed at anything. That's the difference. So yeah, Derek and we would spend, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 hours after class practicing together. Will Calhoun was with us. Will was is the living drummer in Living Color, you know, and we all would just like listen to a Miles Davis record, a Wayne Shorter album, an AC/DC record, Van Halen, This was like when all that heavy metal was having a run in 84, 83, 84, when it was all coming out. We loved everything, you know. We would play Paganini Caprices and play Eruption by Van Halen.
Yeah,
We loved it all. See, when I was a kid, there was only 2 styles of music, good and bad, you know.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So I never, ever, ever, ever said, I just love this style of music. Why? I grew up listening to Led Zeppelin and Leonard Bernstein. Why wouldn't you? The Allman Brothers and Aerosmith, you know, Leslie West and Mountain and Johnny Winter, and then of course, King Edward when Van Halen came out in '78, to this day, I listen to all different styles of music all the time because I've learned something from all the different composers in the different genres, and Derek's the same way. And obviously, his career shows that, hard work and discipline and no safety net. We didn't care. We just wanted to be good. We didn't want to be famous. We wanted to be as good as we could be. And then whatever accolades come from that, fantastic. And I don't know that today's that much different because, yeah, you got the internet and all that, but word of mouth is still the way people talk about you. I come to Milan and I don't play well. Everybody there is going to talk about it. If I come to Milan and do the best that I can do and have a great night, everybody's going to talk about it. And then next year we come back and maybe more people will come. And maybe the naysayers will be like, you know what? It was really good. It was really good.
So you had a lot of collaborations, including, Asia, Blue Oyster Cult, Alice Cooper, and Megadeth. Are they all standout experiences in their own right? I mean, did you get the best from each, or sometimes do
Sure.
you learn more, from difficult experience?
Both. I learned a lot of wonderful lessons, sometimes not in the most pleasant way, So, made a lot of mistakes because I was young and stupid. And as long as I don't repeat those mistakes, then it was a good lesson. Painful, you know. But my entire career, if you go back to the first like international uh, record deal gig, whatever, is 40 years ago, 1985. Okay, and every one of those jobs taught me something, was preparing me for my role, what became the musical director of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and whatever my role is in Savatage. Okay, so working with Dee Snider and Dave Mustaine and Alice Cooper and Celine Dion and all over the place, made me a better all-around musician.
Okay. And with Megadeth, actually was pretty short. Um,
Yeah.
is it better that it went this way, or maybe you wanted, to be longer, to have a longer possibility?
Well, I was only supposed to be there for a couple of weeks because Marty Friedman wanted to leave and they needed just somebody to like get them
Okay,
through the
so it
tour.
was longer than expected,
So
anyways.
yeah, it went and what derailed the whole thing, it wasn't a conscious decision on anybody's part necessarily, but 9/11 took place, you know, and that, shook the world, but I lived in New York City at the time, so I was like, I was just got married for the second time and didn't want to leave New York. I didn't want to tour anymore. You would be terrified about doing anything. And Megadeth was supposed to go to South America. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going anywhere, you know. And then we kind of put it on pause. And then Dave went on his own way. There was no official, I quit or you're fired or anything like that. It just kind of we just drifted apart. And that was the end of it. Now, do I wish it lasted longer? If I said that, then you and I would not be having this conversation today. If I
Okay.
changed if I change one moment, one decision in my life, we're not here. You know what I mean? So how it went, I guess, is exactly how it was planned. And here we are, you know, because if I stayed with Megadeth, if I stayed with Alice, or I stayed with anybody, I was never in Savatage. And we're
I
not talking about, the big reunion and the world tour and all that. So I'm grateful for exactly how my life has gone, this kind of circuitous little journey that put you and I together on this Thursday afternoon, evening by you. And we're talking about something fantastic. So yeah, it's all worked out pretty good so far.
Good point. So time is running out, but I have a couple more questions. Do you have time?
Of course.
Okay. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
First off, you worked also with Celine Dion and Michael Bolton.
Mhm.
Is your approach any different as a hired gun, as a session man, compared, to being in a band? Is there a thin, maybe not so thin line from being, an artist and working in music as a job? Does commitment have a different kind of flavor?
Yeah.
And also, let me tell you, above all, does being a Libra help in many, of those situations? Because Libra are
Balance.
pretty well balanced. I'm a Libra as well, so
Yeah. Um, as a hired, listen, I enjoy playing the guitar, and before I became a member of any band, you know, I understood my role. My role is to make my boss happy, musically, off stage, as well, just nice and calm and peaceful. And for them to know that whatever they're thinking, I will be able to help bring that to life. If they have a specific part in mind that they want, you're the boss, whatever you want. Is as you develop a relationship with them and the trust begins, they'll say, what would you do here? Okay, well, here's five different options. Um, but as you know, you don't speak to Celine Dion the way that you would speak with Dee Snider. And, I don't talk to my daughters the way I speak to my sons, you know. So as a musician or in life for me, my opinion is that I've had to learn to speak 50 different versions of English because I'm going to speak to each person the way that they want to be spoken to. You follow me? I'm not going to talk to a woman the way I'm going to talk to, my oldest son who's in the military. It ain't going to happen. All right. And the same in the way I'm going to play the guitar. I'm not going to come out doing that on a Celine Dion record. You know, you, it's your world. I'm a guest. Act accordingly.
yeah. And Trans-Siberian Orchestra is another musical universe apart. You've been a
Mm.
core member of that pretty much since day one.
Yeah.
Did the evolution of that project surprise you in a sense, or did you start with a specific plan to make it such a big thing?
You're going to hear different stories and versions. Okay. I'm going to tell you the truth. It was an accident lightning strike with one song that changed everybody's life. Okay, Christmas Eve Sarajevo ended up on the radio in Tampa, Florida, and the DJ, his name is Mason Dixon, went, "Wow, what a reaction we just got from this like crazy Christmas song." Who later presented it to the sister station up in New York City, who played it in same reaction. And within days, it was the number one song in America. Now, That was not a plan. That was, listen, Paul O'Neill told me when I met him, all he wants to make is great art. He doesn't care about anything else. If we make great art, maybe it'll catch on. Well, it caught on. And every year it grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And Paul knew, he goes, we're on to something here. Let's keep feeding this. It's like giving birth to a child. Okay. You have this infant. What do? You feed it, you clean it, you change its diaper, you know, and also the infant's a toddler, 2 years old. And then it's an adolescent, then it's a teenager. Now it's a full-blown adult. But you always love it, you always care for it, you always do the best you can do to help it achieve better things. So now I look back and I go, oh my God, look at what we've accomplished. You know, literally it's 30 years old since we recorded or released that song. And when we just finished the winter tour this year, packed arenas, people coming out 3 generations deep, you know, not too different what's going on with Savatage, you know, because the quality of the art is so good, you know. Like my older daughter, Olivia, is 13 years old. She loves Elvis Presley. How did that happen? Because she heard a great song and fell in love with the persona and this. So there it is. So going back to what you and I talked about earlier, what's the most important thing to me is serve the song and let generations of people in Milan and wherever else we travel to experience just great art. It doesn't matter if the song is 30 years old or 40 years old. If it's a good song, it's a good song.
That's a good point. Very last thing, John Sykes sadly passed away a couple of days ago.
Horrible. Yeah.
He was such an influential player. He had his high moments, you know, and he's been also unlucky in a sense for some choices made. Did you get to meet him, and do you have any story connected to him? Was he ever an inspiration for you?
Oh God, yeah. Oh my God, what a great guitar player. Because I heard him play and I said, aha, he loves Gary Moore too. Because I'm like such a huge Gary Moore fan. So I heard when I listened to him play, he spoke to my soul because not that I would do what he would do, but very similar because I think we were both students of Gary Moore. You know, very lyrical, very soulful, very melodic, you know, Les Paul, Black Les Paul, duh, you know. And when he would shred, it was just like, oh my God. And then when you factor in how good he sang, you know, on the Blue Murder record, it was like, oh my God, fantastic stuff. Great songwriter, great guitar player, great singer, you know, great charismatic performer. Yeah, it's very, very sad. It is very sad. You know, love and prayers to him, his family, and whomever, you know, he was just very, very adored, especially in the guitar community.
Did you ever meet him? No.
Uh, Never did,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay, also, thanks so much for your time. And before we close in this interview, which is your ultimate invitation, you know, to the people to buy right over a ticket to see Savatage in Milan in June.
I think it's going to be historic. It's going to be fun. And I'm coming back to the homeland. Let's go.
Yeah, so we must be
Like my grandmother would say, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, so I apologize, but my grandmother would always say, when you go to Italy, you have to tell everybody, Tante saluto tutta famiglia. Did I say that right?
Yes, that's clear. That's clear enough. All right.
So to all my family over in Italy, I can't wait to say hello, and I love it. And then my wife is coming over, and we're going shopping. Ah.
You better bring, you know, your packed wallet.
No idea. Even my daughter's like, we're going to Milan. Oh, shopping. I'm like, oh God, I'm broke.
Yeah, yeah. So you're trapped.
Thank you
Okay.
so much for your time today. I've
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.